In chapter 18, it says that the angels have no idea of time, nor ideas derived from time. Instead, they perceive state. So, have they forgotten? And what does it mean to perceive state? Well, there's no time like the present. As we read chapter 18, I think there's one concept that's worth spending some time on. Swedenborg writes, "So far as thoughts partake of time, space and matter, they are limited and confined, but are unlimited and extended so far as they do not partake of these, since the mind is in that measure raised above bodily and worldly things." Now, while this can seem hard to grasp, I think it's actually quite straightforward. Let's talk about time. Think about worldly concepts of innocence and guilt. The only way we have to measure innocence and guilt in the world is in time. Have you ever committed a crime in the past? It's the only indication we have as to whether you are likely to commit a crime again in the future. So these days we issue cards which allow you to work with children based upon the fact that you've never been convicted of a crime against children in the past. But you can see the flaw in the system, can't you? Whether or not you have been convicted of such a crime in the past has little bearing upon whether you will commit a crime in the future. Every criminal had at one point never committed a crime. And there is such a thing as a reformed criminal, someone with a criminal past who is never again going to commit a crime. So it's imperfect, but it's all we've got. Now contrast that with the heavenly idea of innocence and guilt. Heavenly innocence is to be in a state in which one cannot commit a crime, and it has no bearing upon one's past or one's future, only one's present state. Let's talk about space. Heaven is not a place, it is a state of being. Jesus said, "The kingdom of God does not come with observation, nor will they say, 'See here' or 'See there,' for indeed the kingdom of God is within you." And you might remember from chapter 7 we read this, "It can in no case be said that heaven is outside anyone, it is within him. For it is in accordance with the heaven that is within him that every angel receives the heaven that is outside him." Elsewhere, Swedenborg writes, "We can know the path to heaven to some extent simply by considering what the people who make up heaven are like, realizing that no one can ever become an angel or get to heaven unless he or she arrives bringing along some angelic quality from the world." Further on, he says, "Inherent in that angelic quality is a knowing of the path from having walked it, and a walking in the path from the knowing of it." Now I want you to notice that you know exactly what he's talking about, but we're not talking about a physical path, and we're not actually walking. When we think about matter, we often say things like, "It's the thought that counts." And we have a saying, "Mind over matter," which we tell people when they've forgotten the importance of their beliefs and feelings over the circumstances in which they find themselves in. Now there's another quality that Swedenborg names elsewhere that ought to be removed from our thinking, and that is person. Many years ago I met a gentleman who was struggling with the idea of something that he wanted to do. He wanted to give an amount of money to a charity, and he was worried that it was really only a self-centered act, that he was more interested in the spiritual rewards for himself than he was in actually doing good. And the thing that I said to him was very simple. I said, "Is it a good thing to do?" And he said, "Yes." Well, if it's a good thing to do, just do it, irrespective of the benefits you might reap. And that is a way we can remove the idea of person. But there are others too. Think about taking credit for something. That is attributing some goodness or truth to oneself. When it comes to our ideas and beliefs, we all understand inherently, I think, that we ought not to believe something because of who has said it. Because when we believe something because of who has said it, we can be blinded, in actual fact, to the truth. And even when we're talking about other people, it's not our actual friends who determine the qualities of friendship. It's the qualities of friendship that ought to determine our real friends. So, can you think of ways of removing the ideas of time and space and matter and person, and how that makes your thinking clearer? Perhaps you might even reflect on ways that you do it automatically without even thinking about it. I'd love for you to share your thoughts and observations in the comments below. As always, you're welcome to read along with us or read ahead if you prefer. You may have questions and comments you want to share with us. Enjoy the journey.